A few weeks ago, I found a video of Michael Porter Jr. on a podcast that really surprised me. Someone asked him if he was ranked in high school and stuff like that. He said, I was McDonald's game MVP, but never mind. This made me think, how is it possible that just 4 years after he stopped playing, people have already forgotten how amazing JJ Redick was at basketball? I mean, this is the same guy who was incredible in college basketball in some of the loudest and craziest places to play, hands on the ball. There's Redick. Great. Redick at last, A3. But then I had another thought. What if I was the one who was wrong about JJ Redick? What if he wasn't actually as good as I remembered him back in college? And how good was he? Really, at the best part of his NBA career, suddenly I had a question I had to find the answer to. How good was JJ Redick actually? And to answer that question, we've got to go all the way back to 2002. After a really good high school career where he won a state championship, JJ Redick got a scholarship to play for his dream school, Duke University. Even though Duke was a dream come true for JJ, it also came with some bad things. This was mostly because the Blue Devils had a bad reputation, thanks to former players like Bobby Hurley and the famous Christian Lettner. Now Redick was about to be the newest in a long line of white Duke bad guys, but he had no idea how much hate was actually about to come his way. I'm amazed at some of the things that come out of, college students' mouths directed towards me. After a good first year ending in a Sweet 16 appearance and an ACC title, JJ earned the reputation as the most hated player in all of American sports. JJ Redick, the guy that opposing fans love to hate. Suddenly, every away crowd was treating him like some kind of terrorist. Just check out this clip of him at the free throw line while playing against Maryland at one point. It got so bad that JJ started getting death threats in text messages. One shirt said, "I want to name my kid JJ Redick." And on the back, it said, "and beat him every day to deal with all that crazy pressure." JJ started spending his free time drinking alcohol alone in his dorm room, leading him to one of the darkest times of his entire life, with what felt like the whole world against him. Jay says he thought about quitting basketball altogether, and especially those first 2 years at Duke, like I wanted to quit my sophomore year. But thankfully, some tough love from one of his college coaches changed his path forever. "Never forget," he said. "The sad thing is, we'll never know how good you can be." And I was like, damn, that hurts. As the story goes, one day, an assistant coach smelled alcohol on JJ's breath. Because of this, the coach pulled JJ aside and yelled at him for his reckless behavior, going as far as to compare JJ to a player named Chris Herron, a former star college basketball player at Boston whose career was ruined thanks to drug problems. There's also Chris Herron, the addict. As some of you may know, I have been battling a personal problem for the past 4. It sounds mean, but this speech gave JJ the exact wake-up call he needed, leading JJ to quit drinking once and for all, and to commit himself to the game he once loved. Instead of running away from the game and quitting, JJ became one of the most disciplined and careful players the game has ever seen. He took really good care of his body and mind through hard work and meditation. 8:30 breakfast, las 9 a.m. check-in with Coach Collins, 10 a.m. class. And it was down the line, lifting, conditioning, basketball, court work, study hall, lights out. 10 p.m., JJ became one of the most disciplined players the game has ever seen. Now, Redick had all the tools he needed to block out the noise, leading to one of the greatest careers in college basketball history. JJ Redick pulls it back and takes it. Was late getting there. JJ Redick comes off the screen, plants to beat. Even though almost everyone hated him, JJ Redick played amazingly during his Blue Devils time, averaging 26 points per game in his senior season and 42% from three-point range. Night after night, crowds gave JJ hell. JJ gave it right back to them. He made some absolutely crazy shots and showed a level of basketball smarts that was clearly off the charts. And so after 4 years of playing for Duke, JJ finished his career as the ACC all-time leader in three-point shots made and free throw percentage, while also becoming the second highest scorer in all of ACC history. He was a 2-time ACC Player of the Year, a 2-time All-American, and a National Player of the Year for the 2006 season, making him one of the most decorated people to ever play college ball. University's all-time scoring leader, JJ Redick. But no matter how successful he was in college, JJ still had a lot to prove to play at the next level. Which brings us to the lead-up of the 2006 NBA draft. Going into the draft, many scouts praised JJ for his offensive power, but still had doubts about his defense. Some of this was because of JJ's last game of his college career, where he was held to just 3 baskets while being guarded by Garrett Temple. Analysts wondered if JJ could make the jump to a bigger, more physical league, and unfortunately, his lack of size wasn't his only concern just before the draft. JJ was arrested after being caught drunk driving near Duke's campus. Suddenly, that reputation for drinking was being questioned all over again. Because of this, JJ dropped down even further in a lot of people's draft boards, leading to one of the best college players in his draft being taken 11th overall by the Orlando Magic. With the 11th pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select JJ Redick from Duke University. And unfortunately, Orlando ended up being a tough fit for JJ. During his rookie year, he only averaged a tiny 14 minutes a night and 6 points a game, struggling to get minutes on a team with a lot of veteran guard depth. And just a year later, JJ admitted to the press that he was upset with Coach Van Gundy's rotation. Quote, "I want to stay here, but it's been frustrating." Not exactly what you want to hear if you're an Orlando Magic fan. By his 3rd year, JJ was still only seeing the floor for about 17 minutes a night, leading many to forget about the former Duke star altogether, with some even considering him an NBA bust, as Williams comes the other way. So here was JJ again, his back against the wall. Only this time he had the work ethic and mindset he had already built up in college, so instead of turning to drinking and giving up altogether, JJ stuck to the grind and took his game to a whole other level. In the 4th season, as JJ's minutes started to go up into the low 20s, his stats also began to go up across the board. And surprisingly, Jay's defense problems weren't hurting the Magic as much as scouts had feared. You see, between Dwight Howard and Hidoto Kaglu, the Magic had a ton of length that they could spread across the floor, allowing JJ to focus on the parts of his game that he did best. Shooting that hold it down, his 3rd rebound already. It's a turnover. There's Redick without a conscience. Suddenly, JJ Redick wasn't looking like a bust at all, and instead like a smart role player with a flamethrower from behind the arc. But then, without any warning, JJ Redick was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. ending his rise in Orlando in the blink of an eye. And though JJ was sad, his magic time had ended on terms he hadn't quite expected. He was still about to become a free agent for the first time in his career, leading him to signing with a team he'd become most connected with, the Los Angeles Clippers, also known as Lob City. In Los Angeles, Redick was given a starting spot for the first time in his NBA career. The Clippers saw his potential, and they wanted to give him a chance to show it on the biggest stage. And even better, he landed on a roster that was loaded with high-end talent, high-flying players like Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, plus an elite backcourt teammate and passer in the form of Chris Paul. Now, JJ was ready to enter the best phase of his career, a stretch where he would prove himself as one of the most elite shooters in the league. Is down to 5. JJ for 2 with the Clippers. JJ feasted from beyond the arc, averaging 40% every single season, including a 2015 season where he led the league, shooting, get this, 47.5% on 6 attempts per game. Suddenly, JJ had captured that Duke stardom in the NBA and had turned himself into one of the NBA's most efficient shooters, capable of putting up some stats as a #1 option. Just watch some of these highlights from his 40-point game back in 2016 against the Houston Rockets. 5th made three-pointer, and it's JJ Redick hooked in the eye. The Clippers team did great to winning over 50 games for 5 straight seasons, and unfortunately, as you know, they didn't translate to the playoffs no matter how hard they tried. Group dealt with a lot of stuff. It wasn't smooth sailing by any means. After 4 years of starting for the team, JJ Redick and the Clippers never made it to the conference finals once. Because of this, the Lob City era is largely remembered as one of the most disappointing teams in NBA history. So, how much did JJ Redick's individual play contribute to that team's failure? Well, if you ask me, I think JJ proved during his Clippers time that he could play winning basketball, but unfortunately, due to a mix of injuries and coaching decisions, he didn't get a chance to prove it in the playoffs. And now, JJ was reaching his 30s and hoping to find a team that could get him over the hump, leading him to signing with the Philadelphia 76ers. I feel like I joined the process at the right time. I was not ready to be a part of the process 4 years ago. With the Sixers, Redick picked up right where he